educated in, and you need to make lifestyle changes because of Einstein. It's his fault. Do you remember what Einstein said about being crazy?
Doing the same things, expecting different results.
You got it, man. This guy's brilliant. Einstein's definition of crazy is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. It doesn't happen. This is something you just saw me do. What did I do? I just drank about, I just drank, half a liter of water. What does that do? It shuts down the midnight hunger pains almost 100% of dieters studied. That's a study, okay? 37% of all Americans' thirst mechanism is so weak that it's mistaken for hunger. 75% of us in this room are chronically dehydrated. We're all dehydrated here. Fish have the opposite problem. They need to have their system pump the water out or they explode. We're the opposite. We're in a dry environment. We need to have the kidneys recycling things and putting in plenty of water because we're constantly drying out. When you start drinking a lot of water, you realize you're not peeing that much. When you drink a lot of it. When you drink a little bit, you have that issue. When you drink a lot, your system seems to get calibrated in a way where you realize, I am really thirsty all the time. Not diabetic type or diabetes insipidus, none of that, but just you get, the dials recalibrate and you realize how much water you need. So I drink about 4 of those a day, and I use high pH water, alkaline water from an ionizer that I have in my house. And it just makes life a lot nicer. It's nice to have alkaline blood and alkaline urine. And you can check it with a litmus paper. You pee on it and you can see how you're doing. I used to be very acidic. Urine was always in the yellow zone on the litmus paper. Now it's green. So I'm running an alkaline system now. Now if I ate purely vegetables, which I've done at certain points, I'm totally alkaline. Yeah. You know what's amazing? 50% of people in here have pain in their body. So just as an experiment, raise your hand if you have pain in your body. Look around. Everybody look around. Take a look around. What percent is that? 90%? That's pretty amazing, isn't it? So I'm going to say your pain's a good thing because it's bringing you here. It's bringing you to learn. And the people that have things are the people that get healthier because you take better care of yourself. Dehydration reduces metabolism, increases stress hormones. Symptoms of dehydration: thirst, fatigue, weakness. Waist circumference. What's the key here? Diabetes, 70% higher in those whose waist top 34 inches. I mentioned the inflammatory problems with fat. This is really important because really the best way to lose weight, and I am serious, is you do it upside down. So this person says, I can't believe I was doing it wrong all these years. She's very healthy now. She's very happy. She'll probably live longer because she's happy. So we lived off the land. I talked about this. That animal chased down, to get the grass. It was being chased all the time. It was pretty skinny. It didn't have much fat on it. And neither did these guys because they didn't have much food. So hunter-gatherers, but there wasn't really a lot of time to gather because other tribes were coming and trying to steal everything you had. Mostly hunting. This is funny. It's called the novelty of cereal grains. When did grains start? About 10,000 years ago. But did our genes change? Nope. So what happened? We changed the chemicals we put in our body, but the body can't assimilate them because the body can't adapt to it. Paleo rations. What is a Paleolithic diet that we'd like to be on if we could? Anywhere from 20-35% protein. There's a range in carbs, but we want them low glycemic carbs. And plenty of fat. Plenty of fat? Come on, Doc. I don't want to get fat. So some people, when they come in, I go, you know what we're going to focus you on is protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And they go, what does that mean? What's a carbohydrate? Some people don't know these things. What's a protein? What can I eat? So I'm going to get pretty basic here. So we want protein sources naturally fed if we can get that. A lot of times you'll see organic, but that doesn't mean grass-fed. It just means that the grain they were given was grown organically. So be careful of that. Acid-alkaline balance. I like people to be neutral with that. A lot of pain goes away when you alkalinize yourself. Well, let's look at protein. Shellfish, lean chicken, turkey, eggs. Don't worry about the egg yolks, they're fine. It's basically stuff that runs around, and some people like soy. I'm not against soy, except for women that are estrogen dominant because it can hit the estrogen receptors. So you get a very curvaceous kind of woman, they're usually estrogen dominant, and they've got too much estrogen related to the amount of progesterone. So we've got to get them on some progesterone. Carbohydrates, what are they? Things that grow. Low glycemic fruit. We talked about, someone mentioned berries are great. These are moderate levels, the cherries and oranges. And then we have high glycemic bananas. Why do people racing? You see them running and someone hands them a banana, they jam it down. It's to get that burst of energy going. But the problem is, unless they have enough protein that they loaded with, they're going to get a crash in a few minutes. But I do want to mention, for glycemic index, you go to a website. There's a lot of glycemic index websites. There's some fantastic ones. There's one guy by the name of Mendoza has that I love to look at. But see, I don't do that. I don't go, what's the glycemic index of my food? I go, stay away from juice, stay away from dairy products, stay away from alcohol, eat protein, vegetables, and water. And I can eat all that I want because it doesn't taste that great. I'm not going to get fat anyway. That's the truth.
Sometimes you live to eat.
Well, sometimes you can, yeah. Just do more of the other. Every time, Barry Sears, the guy that did the, what was his book called? The Zone Diet. I love what he had to say. Beautiful speaker. He said, don't worry if you splurge. You're one meal away from the zone. You just get back up. You fall down, you get back up, and you go again. We need a lot of good fat for good brain function that we get from fish oil with DHEA. Not DHEA, from DHA. Okay? We get omega-3 and we get DHA. We need to regrow our brains, get our memories back. I did mention the glycemic index. I want to reiterate. It's how fast a food turns to sugar in your blood. That's all it is. Glycemic load, even more important than glycemic index. If you eat a lot of fat or have a great big steak, you can get away with eating some sugar with it because it'll mix together and it'll be digested slower. I'm not saying to think about doing that, but if you're going to do it with a lot of fat and protein in your stomach already. So here's an example of this. 4 grams of carbohydrates with a glycemic index of 131. You multiply this out, 1.31 times 4 equals 5, so that's the glycemic load, which you also want to keep down. Here's another one, mashed potatoes, glycemic index of 104, 37 grams of carbohydrates, so glycemic load is 1.04 times 37, which is 38. So you can see that even though a carrot is somewhat high glycemic, it doesn't have a high glycemic load. Xylitol is great for a sugar substitute, other than it can cause some gas if you have too much. It's a sugar that is very healthy for us. The body actually produces some on its own. It looks like sugar, it tastes like sugar. It doesn't raise up the insulin. Here is a drink you can make. It's a lemonade with xylitol. Xylitol may keep ghrelin suppressed, which is a hormone that raises up the appetite. Here's a couple meal options. People always, when they come, they go, what am I going to eat? Well, have some leftover steak if you want. I don't care. But, get some protein.